Welcome to the second episode. Hopefully, this will be the second episode of the Wildcat Podcast. Second episode. So it was actually supposed to be episode 3. Last week was supposed to be the first More with More. But if we were to put it up, all you would hear is just like, and that's it. That's all you would hear. You would be wondering why Brittany, myself, and Mr. Moore are chatting and laughing and having a good time because you just hear static for 30 minutes. So technical difficulties. We'll try to clear all that up for future podcasts, including this one. Hopefully it's working. Little bit different setup today. So, but we want to make sure that we get this correct and right, so that way your guys' ears won't bleed when you're wearing headphones to this, and
sorry,
hopefully not ignoring your teachers while watching the podcast. Hopefully not ignoring teachers. All right, as you guys can see, today we have Mrs. Knapp here. She's kindly said yes to being interviewed for the podcast today, and yeah, we've got some questions set up and all that. But first, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like how many years have you been in the area and all that? So.
Well, I'm 23. So 23 years I've been in this area. I grew up in Buhler, so that's like right down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Haven, Buhler, Haven Road. It's all connected. So I grew up in Buhler my entire life. I went to K-State for 4 years to get my ag education bachelor's degree. And then I went back to Buhler for a year to teach, and now I'm at Haven. So stuck around for 23 years.
So this is your first year at Haven. How many years were you at Buhler for?
I was at Buhler for a year, so I started my career there, and then this opportunity came open. I was really excited about it, so jumped on that.
Cool. Well, cool. Well, yeah. We're happy to have you, and I'm assuming that the students are happy to have you as well.
Hopefully.
Speaking of students, we do have Brittany Sidebottom here. I am Mr. Clements, your host for this week. Alex is not here because, well, I'm not going to cough or say anything like that. But he's just not here today. He'll be in here for future episodes and all that. So typically the podcast is usually set up to be the voice of the students talking about things that are happening in the area, in the school, all manners of good things and all that. So that's just giving you an idea of what we're going with the podcast for. So speaking of voices of the students, Brittany, you have a few questions for Mrs. Knapp, do you not?
Would you like to tell us about FFA?
Yeah. Anything about it, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything.
So FFA is like an amazing organization. I was in it all 4 years of my high school career, and then basically 4 years of college, because I wait until I got my American degree and I had to be a member until I got that. So I've been in FFA, and then as soon as I got out of college, I just got into the advisor role. And so FFA has had a huge impact on my life. It has actually made me like the teacher and person that I am today. When I started high school, I was like that really shy kid that didn't want to talk to anybody or step outside of my box ever. And then after 6 months of FFA, I was I was ready to go. I was going to be an officer. I was branching. So that was really awesome for me. And then I wanted to be a welder because that's one of the classes that I took when I was in high school, and I realized I love welding, but I don't want to do it for 8 hours a day. So, and then I realized I really like crops and I really liked animals, and ag education just really included all of that. And so FFA included it in ag education since it's an intracurricular activity, which means I can also teach it in classes, and it still counts toward our curriculum and everything. It's actually melted into our state standards and everything to teach FFA. So that's a really cool opportunity where students, even if they're taking animal science, they can still learn about how was FFA originated, who started it, and all that kind of stuff. We've got a lot of awesome activities that we're hoping to plan this year. A Nerf war coming up in October. We're looking at hosting a safety day for the younger students in the grade schools, like kindergarten through 4th grade, just to kind of get them exposed to like everything that's on a farm or in their house or anywhere early on. And then Haven always does a farm all day in the spring, so we're going to be continuing that tradition. But just since it's my first year here and the officers are really excited to try new things, we're going to try a lot of new things. We do miss school a lot. I mean, that's kind of what everybody says, but that's not the reason to join FFA. But we do have a lot of competitions that are called CDEs, which are career development events, which is basically a snapshot of what someone in that industry is doing. So if we go to food science, they are evaluating if this area is safe for food. Just different stuff like that. So it's really awesome because they get to test out each career and compete against each other, which I'm super competitive, so I'm all in for that kind of stuff. But see, I mean, that's exactly where you got to go. But
you know, along the lines of like the why students want to come in and all that. I mean, you say that that's not that, you know, missing school is not the reason why people should join FFA. Ultimately, it ends up being the reason why
sometimes,
do.
They like being out there, and I like bonding with them, like when we're outside of school and everything. But I don't want them just to be there because they want to miss class. If they're gonna go, they have to like prep to go. So
yeah.
If we don't do break check in the van.
Okay.
Miss Williams did that because a couple of students fell asleep or pretended to be asleep. So we were right outside the school, and she just slams on the brakes. Nice. It's fun.
I wouldn't do that to my debaters or my forensics people either. So
yeah.
Williams would.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is there any contest coming up in FFA?
Yes. So next Wednesday, actually like a week from when this is currently being filmed, we are going to nursery landscape. There's also land judging, but most of my kids want to do nursery landscape instead of land judging.
That's something new, I think.
Yeah, it's really cool. We learn a lot about trees and shrubs. If you're in the landscape design, I mean, that's like a major you can do in college. Yeah. So we hand them like a graph paper with a design on it, and they have to interpret it and like figure it out to scale and everything. So once again, like kind of those snapshots of like what are they doing in the career? Well, they're interpreting landscape designs. They're identifying tools that are used. They are figuring out what tree is growing outside. We actually did like a little nature type walk and like saw what tree is outside, and they can pick up the leaves and they can identify it. So that's awesome. I mean, Randon, he loves all the trees. Mm-hmm. Like, it's crazy to me, but he'll like walk around, he'll just be like naming off every tree, and he knew them before he got into class, but now he knows a lot more.
That's Randon.
Yeah.
How many contests happen during the year?
Oh gosh. Well, at the state level, we have about 26. And then we do leadership development events as well. So adding those in, I don't know, we're probably up in the 30s, like just throughout the entire year.
And that's how many
there were. That's like district events, and then at the state level, we combine all of them. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Never learned there's that many.
There's a lot. Yes.
Been in FFA for 2 years.
Like what's the adage is that how many contests are left? Yes.
Yeah.
So like, how far out do you have to go for contests usually?
Oh, well.
Or like usually, and then what's the furthest that you've gone out?
Right. So actually, I guess our closest was Andale, and that was Monday. We went to Green Hand Conference. South Barber is pretty far. Like, you're like 5 minutes from Oklahoma.
I was like South Haven.
Yeah, South Haven's really far.
Because we're like 5 minutes from Oklahoma border.
Yeah, we've got all of our like state contests are in Manhattan, so that's like 2 and 15 minutes, like hours away. So
hours.
Yeah, 2.5. I don't know. Our district is a lot more condensed than what like the Southwest district is. Like, they have to travel 4 hours, and we only have to travel like 2.5 maximum. So I'm pretty content with where we go.
I feel bad for any and all, and I know a couple of them. activity sponsors, like in places like Dodge City.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
don't talk about my hometown now.
No, I'm saying I feel bad because like Dodge City is a big enough area, but if you have activities, if you're a sponsor in Dodge City or in the Dodge City area, you basically have to drive out an hour each time,
Yeah.
if not more.
And
So-
there's multiple high schools that you have to that place would sponsor. There's like 3.
Mr. Kirkpatrick to the office, please. Mr. Kirkpatrick to the office.
It's lunchtime. That's why you're hearing stuff like that. So, yeah. Last year we had issues with bells being going
these
off
again.
in the middle of the podcast. So,
We had it once during the first episode.
yeah. Not much can be changed. I just keep forgetting to turn down the volume on that. But
Watch. A fire alarm goes off.
yeah. The funny thing is that, and I probably said this in the first episode of the podcast, but the very first episode that we recorded last year, excuse me, the bell went off, and it was just one of the lunch bells. We had this class had like a second lunch, and so the bell went off. It was for first lunch, and we left it in there because we were midway through sentences, midway in conversation. We couldn't just stop and then pick back up later in the conversation. So later on, once we finally had the episode published, I played it for a couple of my classes, and I did it for my seniors. And this is where I learned that operant conditioning is real, because and this was early enough, like probably midway through class. As soon as you hear the bell on the podcast, people started panicking and picked up their backpacks and stuffed everything in their backpacks and wanted to leave the room. And I told them, no. It's just a podcast. It's just the podcast. You still have like about 30 minutes left in class. Then later, and this is now just me being a bit jerk-ish, I decided to rewind it and then try it out again, and I had a couple more that still picked it up, and then they were wondering, why am I doing this?
You did it again this year?
No,
Oh,
it was
last year.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was just like a few minutes after the first time it happened.
That'd be funny if you tried it again this year and they still fell for it.
Oh
People
man.
Fell for it again.
Well, I mean, now, I imagine some of them are listening, and they're probably going to be like, Mr. Clements, you can't fool me. You can't fool
They
me
might
this
forget.
time. All right, do we have another question?
Well, she already answered what you do in FFA. What made you want to teach agricultural science?
Yeah, that's a really good question. That was like one that I got like all 4 years of college. They're like, why are you doing this? I really love agriculture. I preach it to like everybody on the first day when my 8th graders walked into class. I was like, who likes agriculture? Nobody raised their hands. I was like, okay, who likes clothes? Who likes food? If you raise your hands, you like agriculture.
Brennan better raise his hand if you ever have him.
Yep. So everything is like melted around agriculture, and we just don't understand. Like, we don't realize that. And I feel like a lot of the consumers are just kind of lost, I guess, more or less. Like, everything that's happening on the farms is just lost in translation from the time it leaves the farm to the time it winds up in Walmart and then on somebody's table. I asked a student.
Or body.
Yeah. Well, yep, clothes, yeah. I asked a student what came from cattle, and this 3rd grader told me chicken. I was like, whoa, no, it doesn't. And so at that moment, it was just like, what are we doing? What are we actually teaching kids in school? I was confused.
I just pictured that little spinning thing that like you pull down the handle and it's supposed to go like the cow goes moo.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like that kid like must have had one that malfunctioned, so you just hear like the cow goes something like
chicken
that.
comes from a cow, guys.
Right, yes, it doesn't. Don't
No.
spread that.
No.
Don't try and make it happen.
Yeah, and so that was the crazy thing. And, like, I was just shocked on that and how consumers are just so confused. Like, you can ask a kid, like, where did your food come from today? And they'll say Walmart. That's not true.
Farms.
You know, I mean, you did buy it from Walmart, but what farm did it come from? Like, how did they grow it? Where did, like, was it from Idaho? Did you get an Idaho potato? Or I just want people to be more aware of what they're eating, where it comes from, and the people they need to thank for it. I think that's just something, you know, farmers don't ask for a thank you, but they definitely deserve, like, all of them, you know.
Be
I think
grateful
there's
for
a-
farmers.
Right.
There's a sign somewhere. I used to pass it all the time, and it would say like farmers feed. I don't remember what the ratio was, but it was like so many hundreds of people.
Yeah.
One farmer feeds so many
It's like
hundreds of people.
165 right now, I think.
Yeah,
Might be wrong.
and you know, I think like, what is it? The trend nowadays is that we're losing more and more farmers, and so each farmer is now feeding more people, or something
Yeah.
like that. It's
Yep.
so.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing, like, people don't understand, like, GMOs are actually helping farmers, like, use less land to grow more food, whereas people think that they're really, really bad and, like, really bad for you. But in reality, it's, like, it's helping us with what's going to be almost an epidemic of not enough food here. So I just want to, like, educate. Like I said, when I was in high school, I found out I really like learning about everything. And so instead of just picking one career and sticking with that, I could pick ag education, and that would just give me all of it every day at the same time. And plus, I really enjoy working with youth. Like, I call them future agriculturalists. Whether they're gonna go into ag or not, that's what they are when they walk into my room. And so we're working. We're gonna keep educating the youth, who are gonna keep educating others, who are gonna just spread the word, and we're gonna try hard. And I think, like, you know, teachers have to have the heart for students, and hopefully students have the heart for learning, and that's just kind of why I'm here.
Why we're all here.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's teacher with a heart for students, a student with a heart for learning. I mean, that's what we're here for, so.
What do you like about Haven so far?
Oh, I just really like, the students have been awesome. They're very welcoming, really polite. Like, we get along really well, and I really enjoy that. I also really like the staff. Everyone is so welcoming, like, very willing to, like, lend a helping hand if you ever need it.
Evil.
So, just everything like that.
All of a sudden, I could just picture Alex just drawing like demon horns on me here for some reason.
Watch him.
Yeah,
I'll tell him to do that.
yeah. And the community support has been really awesome. Like, every time I meet someone, oh, if you ever need anything, just let me know. And so, that's just super, super great. I love having such a welcoming community in school.
We basically already answered all these questions. Woo!
Yeah, I mean,
That's what I'm here for.
Except for, where did you come from?
Bueller.
And she said Bueller, so yeah. We did.
yeah, like, I mean, what is it? Myself, Mr. Moore, and Mr. King all came in last year. First time last year was my first year as a full-time teacher, and I believe for Mr. Moore it was his first year as principal.
And King's first year as music teacher too.
Was it? No. Well, I think he was someplace else before
He was at
here.
Hutch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it was his first year here in Haven. So, the one thing that I remember hearing from all of us was that we loved just how different the students' attitudes are throughout the entire district. I mean, that was one of the big things. One of the things that keeps me going every single day. You know, because I mean, at the heart and soul of everything when it comes to education is the students.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, are they learning? Are they are they enjoying the learning environment? Are they comfortable? Do they feel safe? And you know, I'm glad that we have students that are so great, well mannered, and you know, that they're able to voice, you know, concerns and all that with us. So yeah.
All I gotta say about Haven is that I liked Haven better than my old school because It gives you more options to do. Like for FFA, we didn't have FFA at my old school. So that's one of the reasons why I joined FFA.
Maybe you should join it this year.
I don't have money for it. to do the membership again.
Well,
I didn't pay for it last year. That's the thing.
I think we're reaching about like almost a 25-minute mark here. So and you know, I haven't had lunch yet. I don't think you had lunch.
I haven't either.
You had pizza.
I did. Seniors got Papa John's pizza.
So we're gonna be wrapping this up here very shortly. This
Bloopers.
Well, yeah, there's gonna be some bloopers and all. Well, maybe not this time, not for this episode. We'll have some bloopers, like hopefully at the end of the semester. I know last year we were gonna put up bloopers, but we forgot to put them all together. So,
Good job.
yeah, that's on me.
And Alex.
Well, yeah, but Alex also had a lot of work to do during the editing phases of some of the projects that we were working on. Speaking of some of the things that like projects and all of that, you know, this week I think we'll have this up here in the next day or two. So this week, homecoming week. It is homecoming Friday. Go to the football games. You know,
Come visit me on top of the box.
Yes.
I'll be up there all by myself.
No, you won't. I'll be up there too with this microphone.
Student-wise.
Well, okay. Well, possibly. I mean, you
We'll
might have
the opponents.
Yeah, the
person up there too.
Yeah, the opponent camera person.
And we're on the teacher team too, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Friday.
We should record the games.
I think we might do that.
Okay.
I'm
should have
out.
said that.
You know,
Just focus on the teachers.
yesterday was Mr. Moore's birthday. We'll have
Focus on Mrs. Knapp.
No.
Go new teachers.
We'll have
And Clemens.
you know, yeah, we'll have all that. We'll have all that stuff up for the next podcast. Hopefully, I believe next week we're going to be interviewing Mr. Mock. So we're just getting your guys' wing.
Yeah. Well, 2 of people done. Check.
Yep.
Gotta come up with those questions.
And you know, once we get the football game recorded and all that, check it out on Monday. We'll
Get us more subscribers.
that too. And seniors, if you want to be a part of the Senior Memories episodes, I don't exactly know when we're going to start on those just yet, but we will have those up, or we will be starting on those soon. So if you want to be a part of that, talk to Brittany, Alex, or myself, and we'll see if we can get you in on some of those.
We only have 36 subscribers.
Subscribe.
Please.
Yes. All right. So before we end this one, is there anything else that you want to say about FFA or anything? Anything that you want to say to like attract more people to come to FFA?
Yeah, join FFA. We have a Nerf war. Okay. So,
If you
I
like
don't know
to farm,
if you don't even have to be a farmer. Listen.
want to farm, learn how to take care of crops.
Listen. FFA is super fun, and we have lots of activities, and you should just join because if you pay me $15, then you get a free T-shirt. So.
$15 free T-shirt. You get
judging.
the chance to wear blue jeans.
Yeah, and a Nerf war. I don't know how many times I can say that, but I am super amped for it, and you can like shoot me as much as you want, honestly. But I fire back, so let's go.
There we go. All right. So thanks to Mrs. Knapp for coming in and
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Oh, anytime that you want to jump back onto the podcast, we'll be happy to have you.
Sweet.
All right.
Dude, how judging in FFA, people. Come on.
So
Not a whole lot of people did it.
No.
join FFA.
Join FFA. Hey.
All righty. We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next week.
If
Have
you
a
need
good
notes
one.
for FFA, come to me. I got them.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.